Good morning, it's Tamara Payne coming to you live from Everyday Superhuman here in Utila, Honduras. And I'm a holistic health educator. And today I have my wonderful husband,
Who is
Scuba.
not a holistic health and whatever you say.
He's not a holistic health educator. His nickname is Scuba Sarge. His real name is Ryan. And today we're going to talk a little bit about goals and goal setting. It's a very important topic. And as we have so much happening in the globe this week with the U.S. presidential elections coming, we wanted to talk more about goals and how you get to where you want to be. So, from my coaching framework as an educator, I always think of goals as the great big thing, what you want to attain. And when you set that up, then you have to establish your why. It's really important to establish your why. And then you backtrack to establish what action steps you need to take towards your goals. So for me, it's a very simple process, but I've practiced it for a lot of decades. So I wanted to talk to former drill sergeant, former sergeant first class, my husband, and ask him what it's like to suggest to you all to set goals. So what would you say?
I think goals are an idea only up front, and then they're an action. It becomes an action verb. You gotta what goals do I want to make? And if it's important to you, you'll make those goals. But if it's really important to you, then you'll take the actions to make them happen. You can, and I think there are more than one kind of goal setting. At least two kinds of goal settings. Two in my head right here. There's goals I set for myself, and there's goals that others set for me. Not necessarily her. I didn't mean to point at her. I meant just others set for me. And the goals that are most important to me are the goals that I set for myself. Because if I set it for myself, it's very important to me. It's something I want to get done either for self-improvement or the improvement of the situation or the improvement of someone's life. But if you're at work, for example, if your boss comes and says, "Hey, I have a goal for you to make 3,000 sales in the next 24 hours," well, that's not going to be all that important to you. That's his goal. That's great, but you kind of don't have the same fire for it than if you say, "Hey, I set a goal. I want to make 500 bucks extra this month so that I can take myself to California." That's a goal that's going to be important to you, and if the more important it is to you, the more likely you are to take those action steps to get it done.
So let's talk about our decision to come and move and retire way ahead of schedule to Utila, Honduras. We made that move in February of this year, earlier in 2020, before La Corona, before coronavirus had its quarantine. And how would you say that we attained that goal?
Excuse me, mosquito. Um,
We live on a tropical island in the Caribbean. There's a lot of mosquitoes.
that was bothering me for a while. Well, that brings up an important point in my mind that goals aren't always concrete, solid. Sometimes goals shift. Sometimes goals change as reality sets into it, and that's perfect to describe our situation. When we first started talking about moving to Utila, we had a grand dream and goal of buying a larger property down on the island that was boat access only, that was just huge. And our goal at that point in time was to be able to bring groups of 12, 14 people over here to stay with us and dive with us and experience the island. And that was a great goal. And we started taking the action steps. We started talking. We made business plans. We did our due diligence on everything we could. But through no fault of our goal, we found out was a little unrealistic when it came to people that we needed to help us. Okay, the money output in that was just too great for us to handle. So we needed investors. We quickly found out that investors in Honduras, they have a little gray zone where they think Honduras is all drugs, murder, drugs, murder. That's all we heard, drugs, murder. And it's like, no, it's not that way at all. That's the media telling you that. But it became apparent to us that our goals needed to shift a little bit. So we had the same goal: move to Utila, have people come stay with us, enjoy a week with us, scuba diving, the food, the fun, the island experience, just make memories for a lifetime. But we had to downsize it. So now we rent a house that has three extra bedrooms that we can have groups of 4 to 6 down to do that. And we can do that on our own. So it was the same goal in essence, but it had to change. It had to shift a little
Scale.
bit.
We had to scale it.
And we had to be realistic with each other that, okay, that goal might be a little large. Let's make a more attainable goal for ourselves. And we did, and we took the action steps toward that. And guess what? Here we are.
And how many, if you had to take a guess, how many action steps do you think we needed to take towards it?
Thousands, varying in
Yeah.
degree from very, very tiny to leaps of faith.
Yeah.
And, it's commitment. I've got friends that all the time, oh man, I'm so envious of you guys. I wish I could do, well, you can. Set a goal. And I tell them all the time, set your goal. Take the steps towards your goal. And they're great at setting the goals. Hey, my goal is I want to quit my job and move to an island. That's as far as it gets. They think about it, they talk about it, they want it, they envy it, but yet they're not willing to take the action steps to get here, to get down and get serious about it.
So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing your variation from a masculine viewpoint, from former U.S. military viewpoint, Army. I think that I'm going to wrap it up by just saying you got to go for it. If you are not perfect, if you take an action step and it's a failure, then you know what? Take a new step. Take a new step.
Well, you don't take the big action steps first.
Yeah.
You don't say, oh, I'm going to have to quit my job before I'm going to quit my job today before I figure, no, back up. Take a little step, say, I'm going to investigate the island. I'm going to go visit the island, and then take the action steps as they become relevant and practical. Exactly. And then you take the largest steps at the end. Largest step was us selling everything we had, giving everything away to the kids, getting that plane ticket and coming.
Yep, we literally own dive bags. We literally own 2 treasure boxes that I painstakingly picked pictures out and treasures from the whole family to make sure that I kept a few things. And that's in a friend's basement, thank you so much, or in our family member's basement, thank you so much. And so, you've got to really think about how you value it. I'm gonna end with one last thing that's just really fun. If you live in the suburbs, there's nothing wrong with that. We did too. But you think about what your comfort zone is when you live a suburban lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a wonderful life. It's a great place to raise children. I'm lucky that my stepchildren are all grown. His biologic children, they're all grown. And so we didn't need to think about, the right school and the this and the that and everything else. So that helped us. Your circumstances might be different. But the reality is that when you have a comfort zone that is this big of a circle, and you have your safety, you have your physical safety, your creature comforts, all the things that are in that environment, and that's all that then guess what? Your world is very, very limited. And so when you look at the fact that we are both calculated risk takers, we've been entrepreneurs all of our lives. And so for us, taking a risk and investing in ourselves was not that was the least difficult of it. That for you may be the most difficult, and that's okay. But you have to remember that as you start to add memories and experiences into your circle that's this big, then eventually it starts to widen and broaden. And you can start to see the world in a very different way. And so this itty bitty island that's 7 miles by 3 miles, 21 square miles in the middle of the Caribbean has about 8,000 people living here as permanently. And then maybe another 5 to 8,000, 10,000 at high season of tourists at any given time. So we have people from all over the globe, literally here on this little diving mecca in the middle of the Caribbean called Utila, Honduras. So I urge each of you, if you've spent time with us today or in the future, that you just remember to stay true to your goals, stay true to your partnership, and have a blast.
Well, I got one more thing I want to say.
Oh, he has one more thing.
I've always got one more thing I want to say. I can honestly tell you, every satisfying, every great experience I've had in my life has been when I pushed my own envelope a little bit. The greatest memories I have looking back over life are the times that I pushed my envelope a little bit. I didn't stay solid in that comfort zone. There were joys in that comfort zone, there's no doubt. But the biggest rewards came when I just pushed that envelope a little bit. The military taught me that. I've seen privates in the military. They don't think they can do this. Private, you can do it. And I put a boot in their behind until they do it. And then their eyes open and they're grinning. They do things they never thought they'd be able to do because I pushed them out of their comfort zone. Scuba divers, I train scuba divers all the time. And I call it the Bing factor. I love it when we're underwater and they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that skill where I put the water in my mask and I get it out. And then they do it and their eyes open and it's like, bing! ding, and they smile. That's the payoff for me. They push their comfort zone in a small, little, tiny way, but they overcame a hurdle, and they're so proud of themselves, and they're so happy about it. And that's what happens when you push your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be huge steps. Just push that envelope a little bit, and you'll get the rewards for it.
Thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody. Tamara and Sarge Payne. Bye-bye.